Some of you may already own straight edge clamps similar to the one I have here. A straight edge clamp is used as a guide surface for running a router or a circular saw to cut off boards or route dados in large panels. It's got an adjustable head on the backside and uses a cam action to lock it secure in place. Our clamp is unique because we actually use a 3-cam system or a triple lock. Our first, second, and third for those really big projects. The way this clamp is used, we can secure it onto a project, slide our head assembly, lock the cam down in place, grab our router with a straight bit, and run that across there for doing a dado or trimming off a project. What we've done is taken this idea and improved on it. They're called our twin clamps. I've got a few of them back here. Let me show you how they operate. Like on a straight edge clamp, you'll notice that we have a single straight edge clamp on the top side. Now we've increased the width of our extrusion, making it one solid secure surface to work off of, and then incorporated a second clamping device on the bottom side. This allows us to secure the clamp to the workbench and then the project in top of the clamp. Essentially, we're turning your workbench into a giant vise. It works just like a straight edge clamp. Set it down onto your workbench, slide it forward until the head hits the edge of your workbench or sawhorses, slide the bottom head assembly up, and lock the cam into place, and we're nice and secure. Now, if you are going to work on a large project, you're going to want to use the second lock or even the third lock to make sure that this clamp doesn't come off your workbench. We are going to be doing some bigger projects, so I'm going to use my second lock. Now, these clamps are always sold in pairs when working on our workbench or sawhorses. If I tried to put a project in it now on a single clamp, the project's going to want to rock around. So we definitely want to use 2 clamps here. Take your second clamp, again, set it on your workbench, slide the head assembly up till it touches the front edge of the workbench, slide the clamping head down, and lock the cam into place, and we're nice and secure. Now, if you've ever tried to glue up a drawer box or anything that's kind of unique, it generally takes 3 hands to operate your clamps. You need 1 to crank it and 2 to hold onto your projects. Our straight edge clamps are a nice, flat, wide, secure surface, which means our projects sit flat on top of the clamps. So if I were trying to glue up a drawer box, it becomes a very simple task in your shop. We can secure this, align the edges, and bring the clamping assembly up, secure it down, bring the clamping assembly up, and secure it down. You notice how the box doesn't roll inward. It stays nice and square because the pressure is down low where it's needed. Because we're working off of a flat surface, it also aligns this edge, preventing us from having to come back and trim it up later on with a belt sander or a router. Now, if you are working on a small box like a jewelry box and you need to put some hinges in the top of it, you can leave it secured right in the clamp, bring your router over, and router out for your hinges. It's a nice stable surface to work off of. Another difficult project to work on is assembly of cabinets. Cabinets are a very large and wide surface. You'll notice that I'm using clamps that actually extend out further than my workbench. The reason for that is, if I have a project that is very large and requires large panels to be used, I can put these panels out beyond the work surface and still not have this thing drop down off the workbench. It increases the working area in my shop. Now, when working on a large cabinet, the hardest thing is to get the 3 sides together. Again, because we're working off of a flat surface, we take our side panel, raise that up, bring it back till it touches the 2 head assembly, slide the back panel up, secure that into place, taking the opposite side of the cabinet and setting it down on top of the clamps. Now here's a little tip. I like to slide my head assembly up against the cabinet to help keep it in place while I align the edges. This makes it a very simple task and frees up both my hands to adjust the edge, making sure our cabinet is nice and straight. Now, on our clamp, you'll also notice that we have a roller in place. By using the 2 rollers in conjunction with one another, we can check to make sure that the cabinet stays nice and square in our glue-up process. Push your head assembly up tight and lock it into place by pushing down the lever. Push it tight and again, lock it into place, and we're nice and secure. Now you also notice, again, the sides did not collapse inward or bow outward. The pressure is down low, where it's needed, making clamping up large cabinets a very simple task in our shop. Now, not only does this clamp work for large cabinets and drawer boxes, it also functions for regular old glue-ups. I've got 3 pieces here. I like to stand them up on edge, and I'll take my glue roller and apply a bead of glue down each one. Then lay them down flat, pull them up against the jaws, align the edges. Notice how both my hands are nice and free. Bring my back clamping assembly against the board, and again, locking it into place. Now, most of you right now would wait for the glue to dry, but because we're still in a clamp and our jaws are a low profile, I can actually take my random orbit sander or belt sander and start working on my project right away. If this is a panel that I'm trying to make a sign with, I can grab my router and actually start routering even before the glue dries. You notice even if the head of the router goes on top of the clamping fixture, the head is a low profile, which doesn't interfere. You'll also notice on the back side here that both handles lock in the down position so they do not interfere with anything that we're using on the top side of this clamp. Now, a lot of you right now would say we're through, but there's a unique feature about these clamps. While I've got one panel drying on one side, I'm going to release the clamps off of my workbench. I'm going to take the clamps, nice and lightweight, unlike a pipe clamp or a bar clamp, flip them over, and we've got a second set of clamps on the back side, ready to glue up a second project. Again, both my hands are free to allow me to work the project very easily, and we basically take our head assembly, bring it up, secure it in place with a quick cam action, slide that up, and secure it into place. Now when we're through, it's a very simple task to lift this off. The extrusions are very lightweight. We stand it up on edge and let it lean up against the wall for drying. When we're through with our project, it's as simple as putting it back on the workbench and taking our project out of the clamps. Again, very lightweight, unlike a pipe clamp or those heavy bar clamps that you might own in your shop. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to secure this back on our workbench and finish doing our sanding. Open the jaws back up, flip the clamp back over, slide the head assembly back up against the workbench, and lock it down into place. Slide it back in and lock it back in place, and we're just nice and secure on that workbench again.